Hello, this is David Wormsley, back for a sixth interview talking to a fellow Beaver Builder user. I'm going to be taking a small break from these interviews, but plan to be back at the end of the year with a new series where I want to reach out to our friends in the US as well as people in other time zones. But for this one, I'm going to be talking to a new friend of mine, Nathan Wrigley, who's a long-standing freelancer based in the UK. You may have seen his videos on Beaver Builder and Toolset. If you're a member of the Beaver Builder Facebook group, you're bound to have bumped into him. He's a really nice guy who talks a ton of sense, and I've been itching to speak to him for some time. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you on the other side. Hello, Nathan. Thank you for coming on and seeing me today. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. I'm really good, thanks. It's my name's Nathan Wrigley. I live in the north of the UK, and I've been kindly asked by David to have a chat with him this morning. It's really a pleasure.
For me too, because I've wanted to speak to you for so long and we've never got round to it. We've been having little chats, haven't we, on Facebook, but not had a face-to-face yet. So this is brilliant for me. I love it.
Yeah, first time. It's really weird because your voice is so familiar and your face is so familiar, but now it's like a two-way thing. It's magic.
And actually, I got familiar with you because of that video, well, two videos that you did. I really like those.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did a couple of videos. I mean, it's just not I haven't really dabbled much with using the camera on the laptop and making tutorials. I've kind of suffered a little bit in the past from imposter syndrome, the idea that there's definitely people who know a load more than I do and they should make the videos. And then I kind of just thought, do you know what? I can do this thing. I'll do it. And I really enjoyed doing it. And I just did it one take and hope for the best, and it's full of mistakes and whatnot.
Yeah, I know.
It's quite fun. So thanks for having me on.
No, you made me laugh so much in your video that you did there that I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Because,
do you know what? I think that's a really crucial thing. I think is having a bit of a laugh, mucking about, and giggling. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I'm getting totally distracted already. This is going to happen to us a lot, I think, for this talk. But let me ask you a little bit about what it is that you do with pictureandword.co.uk. That's
okay.
Company.
I'm basically a freelance web developer, and I work for anybody really that kind of comes through the door. In the past, I've been doing it for about, maybe 10, 12 years, something like that. And for a very long time, I only used a CMS called Drupal, which is a kind of a bit of a rival. There seem to be flame wars that go on between people that like WordPress and people that like Drupal. But I used Drupal for years and years and years, and it is brilliant. There's no two ways about it. It's a fantastic piece of kit. It does so many things out of the box that I struggle still to do with WordPress. But about a year and a half ago, I just kind of reached the point where I was going to have to relearn Drupal because they had a major redesign of how the whole thing's built. It goes in cycles, so a bit like WordPress is on 4.x. Drupal went from 7 to 8, and there was going to be a very, very big learning curve. And also, the fact that WordPress has got so much momentum, 27, I think, % of the internet or something, so that's the claim. I thought maybe this is a time to try out WordPress. So for about the last year and a half, I've been trying to learn how WordPress works and struggling with it and succeeding here and there. And so now I kind of only exclusively use WordPress to do things, still dabble with Drupal a little bit and Magento a little bit, but I've kind of made the switch to WordPress, and it's just lovely to have so many people that you can bounce ideas off, whereas in Drupal there's less people. That's my experience anyway. And also the fact that there's a business model in WordPress for people in Drupal. They're called modules, and so everything is open source in Drupal. As far as I'm aware, there isn't one single thing really that you can buy as a module. Everything's open source, and that's fabulous because everything's free and there's pretty much something to do everything. But it does mean that if it goes wrong, you've either got to fix it yourself or just hope that the developer is going to be responsive. And sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. Whereas in WordPress, because it's their business and they can make a living out of it because there's so many people using it, you can kind of rely on it a little bit more. Anyway, that's my experience. So, God, what a rant. Sorry.
No, that's interesting. But how long ago when did you start doing the web development with Drupal? How long back is that?
Probably when it was on about Drupal 4 or something like that, and I really couldn't tell you when that was. It might have been Drupal 5, but it was probably about 6, 7, 8. Oh, that was all HTML and CSS and tables, and I was doing that. And I kind of started doing websites when tables were CSS was just coming in, and so my first half a dozen websites were done in tables and were a ghastly nightmare to maintain and build. And then CSS came along, and that really was the point where I got a bit more confident. And then I suddenly kind of realized, do you know what, people are really going to want to do more than just have a static page. And so hence, CMSs came along, and I had to make a choice, and I jumped on the Drupal ship. So yeah, maybe 10, however old Drupal 5 or 4 is, that's how long.
Yeah. So 10. Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago is when I started with WordPress, and I had a look at that, and Joomla as well. Did you ever look at Joomla?
Yeah. I had a look at it at exactly the same time that I decided on WordPress. I was thinking I'll try a different system, and I looked at Joomla, and it had so many resemblances to Drupal, actually. There were so many similarities, and it could have been a toss of a coin. There was no real reason it ended up being WordPress in the end, simply popularity. I think that's the one thing that swung it for me. But I think they're all good systems. And it kind of annoys me a little bit when people decide to get angry about, this system's better and that system's better. They all do really remarkable things, and they're all free. They're all completely free.
Yeah. Well, I remember.
And hours and hours of their lives to make these things free and available.
I know. Yeah, I've never really seen that much of the wars on it, but I remember when I was first choosing, I guess I got involved in those conversations, and always when I started, what was leveled at WordPress is that it's not a proper content management system, but it was so easy, you see, I could understand it.
Back in the day when WordPress, because my understanding of it is that back in the day, WordPress, when it was very early, before it had things like, custom post types and whatnot. It was a blogging platform, and it was really good at it. And that satisfied 95% of people's needs. The thing, I suppose, at that time that separated Drupal and why some people probably chose to go that way is there was an awful lot of modules for Drupal that really did enable it to manipulate data and to query the database and spit out content. And I think it did do a lot of that stuff before WordPress did. And to some extent, I still think it's easier perhaps to do it in Drupal than it is in WordPress because of certain modules. Like there's a module called the Views module, which is, if you've never tried Drupal and you've got no reason to try it, just researching what the Views module can do is breathtaking. It's so powerful. You can just make it spit out anything you want at any point you want to whoever you want, trivially. And that sort of stuff doesn't exist in WordPress unless you buy plugins. And I suppose that's why some people might prefer it or get cross about people using one over another. But not me. I'm quite happy to use any of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just made me think, actually. A theory just developed while you were talking that perhaps WordPress did so well because it was a blogging platform, and bloggers like to blog and talk about the platform that they use.
Yep, so I think so. And it's beautiful. That's the other thing, is that it's always had a desire to look right. And even on Drupal 7, things looked a bit clunky. They've made a lot of progress with making it look good, but really it doesn't look as good. So if you are an end user, then it's difficult to manage where things are and how things are stored, and the font sizes aren't consistent, and the menus don't look as nice, and so on. This is all in the back end. Mm-hmm. Whereas WordPress looks consistent, the WYSIWYG editor looks fantastic, and it didn't have any of that kind of stuff. So I think ease of use, without a doubt, helped WordPress, and it's just so big now it can't be ignored, which is why I've jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah. So, if you've only been sort of a year and a half maybe with WordPress, how long have you been with Beaver Builder?
Probably about a year and a half. Yeah, that was one of the very first things that I stumbled across, actually. I going through a program, which maybe we'll touch on later, called WP Elevation, and it was in my mind it was going to be a good way to learn from other people. It's a community of WordPress developers and people that really take WordPress very seriously as their job, and the guy that runs it, it's Troy Dean. In one of the first videos that he mentioned about getting your own site up and making it look suitable, he mentioned if you don't know how to do it, download Beaver Builder and there you go, you're done. So I did. I thought, okay, well, fine, we'll give it a go. And it was a breath of fresh air. There is nothing, to my mind, like this in Drupal. And it just made me suddenly realize, okay, I think this is the future. If I was a customer, if I was a client, if I was a non-skilled operator of a website, this is how I would like to do it. It just removes so many of the problems, all of the friction. And with this ecosystem that's growing up around it, there's the sky's the limit, really, as far as I can see. So, yeah, I've been using it for about a year and a half, however long I've had WordPress being installed.
Wow, that was really lucky. And the second person I've spoken to, who Troy Dean has recommended Beaver Builder, and it's changed things for them. So another WP Elevation. I have to keep remembering to say that correctly. That's correct, isn't it? Elevation, not elevator.
Yeah, WP Elevation. What it is, it's like a 10-week course and it's not, as it turns out, it's not about how to do things with WordPress. That's not the point. The idea is you come to the table knowing how to do things in WordPress, which I actually didn't, but that didn't matter. It's about making a business out of using WordPress. So how to get clients, how to keep clients, how to generate recurring revenue and those kind of things. And if you are interested in that kind of stuff and you are in the game for that kind of an online course, it's really, really good. I would recommend it. I'm not a participant anymore, but I would happily be if it was the right time for me, which it isn't. But it is really good.
Yeah. Well, I do know that his main thing is about sort of for those people who want to try and get a different quality of client, because it's very easy to sort of pick up odd web jobs, but to make a business out of it, you need to sort of be able to put forward a good pitch and show the value of what it is that you do as a web agency and that. And I guess most people going on that course are looking to try and attract a better client or present something that will attract a better client. Was that your motivation or?
Yeah, I mean, for me, being a freelancer, for me, my job has always been building websites, and that's really the only thing that I had an interest in. And I was very lucky in that word of mouth kept me going for a very long time. And of course, the minute I moved away from Drupal and started to do something new, well, that all just fell off a cliff. Because I was suddenly in a completely new ecosystem. I didn't really have the skills that were required. And a lot of my leads were from Drupal, communities or people that had got a Drupal website and said, okay, yeah, go to this guy. He knows how to wrangle Drupal. So I thought, goodness, I need to work out how to get new clients. And that is what it's about. It's about kind of sifting out and qualifying leads. And the intention being that, you get less of the low end clients. Does that sound horrible? I don't mean it like that. But, the idea is that you pitch yourself so that you are attracting a slightly higher fee. And there's a lot of process in that. And somebody like me who has never thought about that process, it was a 10-week course. It's called the blueprint, the WP Elevation Blueprint course. That's the one I subscribe to, and it just walks you through that in a series of, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 videos, something like that. What the processes are and what things to put in place and what to get on your website and how to deal with things as they arise. And it's really good, really highly recommended.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we could talk about this kind of stuff forever, because it's a topic that comes up in our Beaver Builder Facebook group quite regularly, I think, really, and kind of dealing with clients.
Well, I was just going to say, it's not something that we're necessarily skilled at, or at least I'm not. I spend my time in front of a screen making websites, and I've always tried to be good at that. And so thinking about running my business, that kind of all got stuck on the shelf. I mean, goodness me, I'm not there yet, but I'm trying. At least I've got some processes.
Fantastic. So has anything changed particularly about this? Obviously, it dried up when you moved from Drupal, or the type of work that you had. So have you changed the type of client or the type of website that you would build from your Drupal days too?
No, to be honest with you, the output looks very similar in that if you were to look at a Drupal website and you were to look at a WordPress website and you didn't know how to view source or inspect the page or anything like that, you wouldn't really notice the difference. So I was just yesterday, because I've got a client who I built their site before I moved on to WordPress. I still maintain it and go in and fix things and update it. I was looking at it quite critically, thinking, how would I do this in Beaver Builder? And I thought, do you know what? The output would be the same. So the type of client really hasn't changed. I think I just have slightly higher expectations of what I would like from people, and I'm a bit better at enforcing my process and saying things like, no, I think we should do it this way, instead of you tell me what we should do. I'm a little bit more forceful, and that's been quite powerful. But also weeding out people, again, sounds horrible. I don't mean it to sound like that. Kind of qualifying, that's the word. Yeah. Qualifying people a little bit more before I get into a serious conversation with them and working out, are they serious? Do they have a budget? Are the people that making these decisions, are they prepared to talk to me? Or is it just people finding out with a blasted out email to 50,000 of us in the UK whether I'm prepared to submit a proposal? I do a little bit more work to make sure that they're serious first, and that really helps.
Yeah. I think finding whether we're a good fit seems to be the euphemism that people seem to use, really, when they're really saying that, if you say, I don't think we're a good fit, we know what really somebody's saying when they say that, but it's a really polite way of saying it. But I mean, I purposely deal with the sort of low end. I mean, that's where I have an interest. I think I think the Troy Deans are great at helping freelancers move up their business a step. But I actually, my focus is the other way, is actually looking at, well, how can we make it a better process for your local plumber who wants a website and all they know is that they've seen a website and they should have one, Can you...
Well, I think... Sorry.
No, it's fine. We'll just delay there. No, and that's my interest as well there, in how we can make that process run smoothly without a lot of headaches with it.
I think that's what that's the refreshing thing about Beaver Builder, isn't it? Is that there is the option to create very quickly, so therefore economically viably, a nice looking site in, well, it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? But in a day, and then hand it over to the builder or the plumber or the whatever it might be. And there's so much about it that's intuitive. They can pretty much figure it out. If I click the page builder button and then hover over something which goes blue and then click the spanner, oh look, there's the text that's on the page. Oh, I'll delete that and change it. I mean, it's so simple. Whereas, hunting through HTML that might be embedded in the WYSIWYG editor, or finding where this piece of content's drawn from that gets put in the widget or whatever, it's just it's so much more straightforward. So I think there's a real path for that, isn't there? Making a business for clients who don't have as much money, I think has made that far more likely than ever before.
Yeah, and I mean, I wanted to ask you about that as well. Do you have I think you do, don't you, a maintenance care plan that you have for your clients?
Yeah, there is a plan. Essentially, I sort of take the approach that really, because I run my own servers, and so I put people on my own hosting account. I manage their emails, and got an email server. And so if somebody comes with me, often they'll go onto my hosting. So obviously there's a kind of recurring fee there. But then it's things like ensuring that plugins get updated and ensuring that WordPress core gets updated and all of those kind of things. So yeah, they get bundled in, and then I'll also offer a monthly chat, which, structuring it that way and saying I'll speak to you for half an hour every month, that's been quite good, because then they kind of build up over the course of a month all the things that they want to say, and then in 30 minutes we get it all done, as opposed to firefighting little tiny emails every couple of days. Oh, can you just do this? Can you just do that? And I just return it with, let's just wait until next Monday, whenever you've booked in. And that's been good. That's been a really good thing, doing that. But yeah, so my maintenance plans, really, it's things like hosting, support, backups, and things like security. I talk a little bit on my website about, the problems of software and the fact that it's going to break, something will go wrong. And if you're prepared to pay a little bit each month for me to just keep tweaking it, updating it, then that's less likely to happen. And obviously that's quite powerful as well. So that the plans vary. And usually the more I charge per month, the more interaction I have on a personal level with the client, maybe talking to them or organizing things with them one-to-one over Skype on the phone. But yeah, it is quite good having those recurring things. They just offer that little bit of security and stability, which is essential if you're a freelancer. I think I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to have more clients going through that and having that feeling every month. Okay, each month X is going to go into the bank account, and it's predictable, and it's great. It's really good. I use a payment gateway called Go Cardless, which is a UK direct debit company. And if you haven't used it and you're based in the UK, I think it might work euro wide. Okay. They take 1%, maximum of £2. No. Yes, £2, £1. Anyway, the point is the fee is trivial. It's much less than Stripe or PayPal. And because it's a direct debit, which is a system that UK banks have of guaranteeing that each month a certain figure will be taken out of your bank account, that's been great. I've really enjoyed using their service because I know what's coming in. I can see what's coming in when it's coming in, and their bank account authorizes me to take it every month, which is great. And I get alerted if they cancelled it and things like that. So that's good. Yeah,
no, I like that. I also like, and I wonder, is this something that's come from WP Elevation? Because I noticed that Clark, I interviewed before, had been on that as well. He also liked to have regular chats with his clients as well. Maybe
I think the big selling point of the WP Elevation is, I guess, if you could sum it up in one word, it would be creating some sort of stability, and stability could come, if you're a ninja, from getting new websites through the door every single month and guaranteeing that. But for the rest of us, stability comes from a website care plan, just a maintenance plan, as some people like to call it. And yeah, so that is a very, very large part of it. And I did get those ideas from WP Elevation, and I wasn't doing anything like that before, which was silly. And I phoned up my existing tranche of clients and just talked it through with them. And I was really surprised by how many people said, yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, we and I framed it in, because I was doing hours of work for nothing. I was just updating, just doing it. And they made the point, you know what, you should be getting paid for this. And I thought, actually, that's right, isn't it? I should be. And so I asked them. I was very pleasantly surprised by how many people said, yeah, that's totally reasonable, and signed up. It was great.
Yeah. Have you thought about going down the route where this is what I'm interested in. I know there's some other people in the Beaver Builder group who are quite interested in the idea that that's the main source of their income is the plans. So they try and make the, like we're saying, the one-day website is the same idea, is that, if you put that into operation, you can bring down the costs of that initial build. And I just think we went a little bit funny at that moment there.
Oh, I've got you. You're all right. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, so they can cut down the cost of an initial build, but make it more affordable to people then to go on a regular maintenance and then secure their own income and look after the clients better. Have you been tempted to go for the lower end clients with the quicker websites, or do you prefer still to try and pitch for a bigger, more complex job?
Do you know the whole? I think I'm really caught by this dilemma in that I think there is. I spent quite a lot of time recently building a multi-site platform that I thought this would perfectly suit a particular niche that I understand quite well. And I built the whole platform, and I was then at the point where I was going to sort of tart it up and make it look nice in Beaver Builder, and I stepped away from it at the 11th, just at the very last minute, and I don't know why. I have absolutely no. If a load of small websites on Multisite could generate recurring revenue, I think that's a fabulous idea. Also, it's very nice to have the sort of the bigger clients and the more well-paying clients. That's really nice as well. But I think you have to manage their expectations a lot more. Whereas if it was a simple subscription of, I don't know, X pounds or dollars a month, and it was fairly modest, and it was just an install of Beaver Builder, and it ticked over and it worked and it didn't break and you didn't have to spend hours maintaining it, that would work for me. I know that Clark Marshall, who you interviewed a couple of weeks ago, from Blue Dog, he has a thriving business of clients, and he builds them a bespoke website, but he also has this platform on Beaver Builder. I think he's decided not to go with multi-site. He's decided to do it as individual installs. But I think that's, I don't know how successful that is for him, but I think that's something he'd like to grow, because he just, as far as I'm aware, he installs Beaver Builder and teaches them how to use it with a series of videos. And great. Why not? If you've got a bunch of plumbers and they just want to fiddle with it once in a while, and they'd rather pay $10, $20, $30, $40 a month just for it to be there and know that you're updating it for them, fabulous. What a great way. If you had a dozen of those or 2 dozen of those, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, apart from what Clark does, there's Me Sites as well, which is one that is created with multi-install. So that's another one of the community folks. The guy makes the Peekaboo, David, the guy makes the Peekaboo plugin and some other plugins and that. So he does Me Sites as well. So if you've checked that out at all.
No, I haven't. I must do.
He's managed to pull it off with a multi-site install. So to do that, but yeah, Clark would be a little bit like me. It's maybe you need to know your stuff a bit better with it, because it can be a bit wobbly, I think.
Well, I got to the point where I just suddenly got the fear that if it broke, if my multi-site install broke and I've got a dozen sites on this, I just suddenly thought I'm going to get a dozen phone calls all at once, and I'm going to have a dozen people. Whereas if it was done separately, here's one site and here's a completely different site with a different database and a different set of files. Well, if one of them breaks, at least the other 11 stay up. So yes. That's kind of why I shied away from it. And I think Clark uses, things like, I don't know which platform, but, Manage WP or iThemes Sync or something, which in effect gives you a lot of the functionality that multi-site does anyway. And if you're on a host that can make can deploy a clone quickly, then you can have a site up and running in a matter of minutes, based upon a templated one that you've got that works. So I think that's why I never did it. I should revisit it, because I think the niche that I was thinking of might be quite good. But yeah. Yeah.
No, I can't say I've ever. In a way, you're building your own kind of Wix, aren't you, with Beaver Builder or Weebly or something like that, and it never appealed to me. But it's funny with Clark, because I talked to him as well, and things. He kind of set that up because he was going travelling, and he thought he would need something that could manage itself while he had his income. And of course, things have gone the other way. He gets more bigger jobs while he's travelling. Nobody has an issue with that. So, you build it yourself has become a smaller part of that business, where he thought it would be his main thing, But I think these things move around unexpectedly. He always keeps telling me that things are taking a turn for a way he didn't expect,
I guess the other problem is that if you've got a platform that you kind of claim is hands off, so, like Wix, the idea is, I suppose, that you'll never speak to a human being. You just pay for it and you expect it to work and be straightforward and obvious. It's difficult to know how to make Beaver Builder work intuitively and have some of the functionality that you want. And it's not always super intuitive to get things to happen. And especially when you've got the add-ons that you know, like Power Pack and Ultimate add-ons and Beaver tunnels and things like this, they suddenly create an extra layer of complexity. And also updates, you know, how are they going to go? Is that going to break something? Do you want? So I think Clark has stripped back the whole thing and just gone for just Beaver Builder. I don't know if he's got tunnels or something, but I don't think he's put the Power Pack and the Ultimate add-ons in or anything like that. He's just left it as Beaver Builder, which obviously works. Yeah. Great. I remember I used Beaver Builder for sort of 7 or 8 months without any of those add-ons, and I just thought this is all great and fantastic. And then you get dazzled by the wonderful things that can happen, and they are great. I have a wonderful time with those add-on packs, but it always worries me: are they going to break if I just click the update button?
I know it's been a bit overwhelming recently. I mean, have you started putting them on client sites yourself, though, the add-on pack? I've
kind of shied away from it, to be honest. I've played with them a lot, and I am super satisfied that a lot of the things that they claim to do, they do, and they do 100% of the time, and it just works. My fear is that we're still in that period where they don't really understand how it's going to work out for them. You know, the whole templating thing, and you've got this Ultimate add-on cloud now, and so on and so forth. And you know, if that was to suddenly be included in an update, and then you've got to suddenly tell 12, 15, 20 clients, that's really hard. I'm very, very excited by the idea of this Beaver Builder 2.0 theme, because it seems like a lot of the things that we all desperately would like are going to be answered in that. I'm not certain, but it sounds like it's going to be really exciting. The one thing that I do kind of trust is Beaver tunnels. I'm happy to put that on a client site because that's just a no-brainer. There's nothing complex about using that as a client, I don't think.
Yeah, that does one thing well, and I like things like that. And that's not taken away from the add-on packs. It's just the nature of what we do. If you've, I mean, I'm no expert. I don't have a big business or anything, but I have been running some sites for a very long period of time. So I know the headaches of putting something on that's not been tested over a longer period of time. So, so it makes me extra cautious, as you know. But I'm one of the most excited persons about these kind of new toys for Beaver Builder. I get, really, really excited about them. But yeah.
I just get so carried. It's pathetic. I get so carried away when these new tools come out. It's like, ooh, shiny. Give it to me. I really do. I get suckered in. Honestly, you could market anything to me that was related to Beaver Builder if it did a shine. Oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, I jumped on both of the lifetime licenses for Power Pack and Ultimate add-ons. I'm so glad about that one. And I've tried everything. I've absolutely tried everything. And like you say, it's just nerves. If there was I don't know if maybe they came up with a stable channel and a it might break channel or something like that. But yeah. Yeah, things have changed. I mean, just this short time. I mean, you've been around, so 1.5 years with Beaver Builder. You've seen a lot happen already in our community. So and we have seen quite things that didn't seem imaginable have happened, and columns within columns. That's gonna be huge.
But and things have changed, so it does make me hold off a little bit. And I am, like you, waiting for 2.0, thinking that's the point where I launch a new type of business based around 2.0.
Yes.
I'm just holding off, just wasting time.
Yeah, it's always slightly in the distance, isn't it? And I don't know, but I am, for me, the near future, the next couple of years is all about Beaver Builder. I think that's the way my business is going to go. I'm going to build everything on it. Yeah. Possibly make some tutorial videos that I embed in the dashboard somehow or other, and do just make sure that the clients understand what they've got to do. I think Colin Cartwright did a pretty exhaustive set of videos, didn't he? I don't know if they're still suitable now that we're on 1.9. They probably are, aren't they? Yeah,
I think he said something about the videos there, and that they didn't get watched as much as he thought, because in a way what he's covering on those videos people just dive in and do it.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody else mentioned that they didn't know there was a good set of videos there because they, by the time they discovered it, they'd already found the things that were in the videos. You know, because it's that those things were quite intuitive.
Yeah, it's kind of like why your Mac doesn't come with an instruction book. It's just click and point and muck about. But for some of the more high, you know, putting classes on rows and things like that, that all needs a video. But then I don't want my clients to want to put a class on a row.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those videos are needed. The ones that Colin did are perfect because they're the sort of things that you need to give to a client. And they're there. They may not look at them as well, but they need to know that they're there. Or you need to be able to offer them, I guess, you know. So, but you can
it would just be such a great little service, wouldn't it? I mean, in a sense, it'd make a really good plug-in. I know that getting back to WP Elevation, Troy Dean does, or at least his company, they have another company called Video User Manuals.
I know.
Yeah, have you heard of them? And you essentially you install the plugin, enable the plugin, and then your clients get to look at a whole raft of constantly updated plugin videos about how to maintain and manage WordPress and write blog posts and delete blog posts and create pages and so on. And I think the Colin Cartwright videos are a part of that. But it kind of feels to me that really the intention of Beaver Builder is so that, well, I could be wrong about this, but it feels to me as if really what you're trying to do is build a website and the client doesn't really know it's built with WordPress. Yeah. They don't really interact with WordPress. I mean, they do, of course they do. They've got to create posts and pages, but everything is, you know, you go to that WP admin menu just to click create post, you know, add post, add page, and then everything's done in Beaver Builder, you know, go back, fiddle with the menus and what have you. But that kind of feels, that feels to me like where it's all going.
Yeah. Hey, can I go back a little bit actually and just ask you how you got into the web design in the first place? How did that come about? How did you make your first website?
Crikey, that is a good question. A friend of mine and I, many years ago, right before this, you know, when I was saying I was building with tables and all of that kind of stuff, this was at the same time as that, we decided way ahead of our time that we would create a business selling audio tours of cities in the UK. And my job was to write the tours, research them, and then narrate them into an audio file. And his job, because he was a developer, he still is. He's a very good friend of mine, and he's a very, very, very talented developer. He built all of the back end. Now, I just got interested in what he was doing, and just sort of started to ask him, well, why does it do that? How does it do that? How did you make that go there? And so on. As it turns out, we were way ahead of our time, because at this point, there was no iPhone. There wasn't even a hint of an iPhone. You know, Apple was nowhere. And also companies came along that had millions injected into them, and blew us out of the water. Their content was better. The quantity of content was better. So we quickly dropped that project that we were working on together, and he went back to being a full-time developer for other companies. And I was sort of left thinking, I'm going to try this stuff for myself. I'm going to try and build some websites. And then a few friends, it's the same story, isn't it, that everybody has. A few friends said, could you? And yeah, that's fine, I'll do that. And then, could you? Yeah, that's fine, I'll give that a go. And then in the end, I thought, well, I'll try and get somebody to pay me for it. And remarkably, I did. And then a few more came in, and then a few more came in. And you know how it goes, the stories like that. And that's how it happened, just through accident, really. Luckily, it's the kind of thing that the internet kind of is predicated upon, isn't it? You can find out about the internet from the internet. So I found out about how to build websites from looking at other people's websites, and that's great. That was one of the first things that you could learn from the internet, wasn't it? Is how to build websites. Yes. And so I did, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah. I think there's a certain type of person. We were just talking before we put the record on, wasn't we, about getting so excited about living in this age.
It's great, you know, the idea that you can just switch on a little box on your desk and it can generate a business for you. You don't have to step out of your house. You don't have to have an office. You can have an office if you like, but I mean, there are people. I mean, I make enough to make my family, to make my life possible. But there are people who, really, really, really do well just from having the computer and a WordPress site and being, ballsy and getting out there. And yeah, it's amazing. We're very, very privileged, I think, to live in this time. It's amazing.
Yeah. And you talked to me a little bit, actually, about your traveling, because you've been a bit of a traveller, like I'm now a bit of a traveller. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about Yorkshire. Is that where you're from originally?
No, I'm originally from Lincolnshire. So I was and I spent 18 happy years in Grimsby. Grimsby, if you don't know, has a really bad rap in the UK. I think on sort of all sorts of measures of social deprivation, it kind of excels really well. But I had a wonderful time there. I spent 18 very happy years with a very, very tight-knit group of friends, and it was fabulous. And then after I'd finished, well, when I got to the age of 18, I went to university in London, and I have never lived there again. But it turns out, weirdly, that where you're from is like 3 minutes down the road from where I'm from. You never lived in Grimsby, did you? But you lived in Louth, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. That's where I grew up, and I went to college in Grimsby as well.
Oh, which one?
Well, I think it was just called the Grimsby College of Technology or something at the time.
Yeah. So if you that was on a corner. It was not like there was a roundabout. That was called Nun's Corner.
Yes.
That corner. Well, my house was about 100 metres away from Nun's Corner on Scartho Road. You went past my house every day.
Yeah.
It was near the swimming pool. You know the swimming pool?
Oh, I blotted that out.
No, there was. Anyway, there you go. So you were very, very close. That's really, really remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great. I enjoyed being in Grimsby, and I love it. Have you seen the film? Is it the Grimsby Brothers?
Yes, it made me laugh.
I know, so funny.
I love everything he does. Is it Sacha Baron Cohen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really, I loved it, and I still keep in touch very, very strongly. 18 years of friends. You can't really replace those people. It's funny when I see my friends after many years. We don't speak all the time, but you'll see them, and there's no messing about. They know straight away if you're being slightly too rosy about the outlook, or if you're telling a lie. It's lovely. It's lovely to see them.
It's the same with me, and I'm still building websites for people in Louth because of my friendship with somebody from over there. So it's great, those connections. So and Yorkshire,
So I didn't really talk. Yeah, Yorkshire is just north of Lincolnshire. It's kind of halfway up the United Kingdom. It's on the right hand side, and it's got a reputation for being full of gritty people who aren't always entirely happy, and are prepared to say no and speak their mind. And it's completely true, but it's so beautiful. Of all the parts of the UK, it really, really does rank right at the top in terms of beauty and wonderful things to do. And I've got 3 kids. And if I look out of my window about a quarter of a mile that way is the sea. It's the North Sea, so it's freezing cold, but it's the sea and there's a beach. And if I go a mile or two that way, we've got something called the North York Moors National Park, which is a beautiful, beautiful landscaped sort of unlandscaped piece of hundreds of square miles. It's lovely. I wouldn't live anywhere else right now.
No, it's lovely. Well, the only time I've been to Scarborough, which is where you are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is when I was 16 on a holiday with my friend, and I really remember it so well. But it's a holiday place,
It was. It's kind of a bit down on its heels at the minute for the fishing industry, which was huge, died out, and the holiday Actually, the holiday industry is coming back. I don't know what it is, whether it's just people getting a bit sick and tired of going on cheaper package holidays, but I think it is reviving. And they're investing a lot. There is a lot of money sloshing around for things like new swimming pools and new cinemas and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I like it here.
Hey, we've talked on for a long time. I think probably we've covered everything that we need to. So I'd love to chat to you again. I really want to have more chats on Skype with you. So we must do more of this, and not necessarily subject anyone else to it. But
yeah. Oh! If you've got this far, I owe you a biscuit.
A biscuit.
Yeah. Well, 2 biscuits then.
Hey Nathan, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. I ought to do this kind of stuff more often. It's lovely to chat to people who are like-minded. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yes, thank you, Nathan. I'll speak to you very soon. So it's bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. It's meeting good people like Nathan that really makes the community worthwhile for me. And can I also just say thank you. It's been overwhelming, the kindness that I've received for doing these very amateur videos. It's been a real boost to my confidence. It's made me feel connected to something much more important. Anyway, that's me done. I shall be back for another tutorial type video very soon, so I hope to catch you for that. But bye for now.